What if there's no God? Or what if there's a God, but they just don't care? Or what if there's a God, but they only care about like the big universal things? Or what if there's a God and they care about us? I was reading Epictetus this morning, and these are the questions that he posed. And one of the things that he noted was that, from his perspective, Socrates fell into one of those groups. The one that he said Socrates fell into was the last one. That's just something that we're kind of faced with as humans, as people. And they're fundamental questions. The question this beautiful Sunday morning here in Arizona, for me, is what if I choose to believe that all of this is governed and I choose to buy into the governance? What does that change for me? Does it change my day-to-day decisions? How I choose to live every single day of my life? It probably should. One of the things that Epictetus talked about was we are in prison when we are where we do not want to be, when we are put in places and it is not where we choose. Again, he talked Socrates, though he was technically in prison or imprisoned, was not actually in prison because he chose to be there. And I think that that's an important fundamental distinction, something that we all ought to consider when we think about our life, because our lives ought to be lived in an examined fashion. They ought to be lived with intention, not accidentally. Not that we're never affected by things that happen, but that we choose for ourselves. It is that fundamental right that we all have, that agency, our freedom to choose for ourselves, irrespective of our situations. That doesn't mean that life is always easy, and it doesn't mean that things are always simple, but it does mean that I have the ability to choose for myself like everybody else does. So use that agency. Choose for yourself who you will be, what you will do, how you will live. Ask yourself the question that Epictetus asks: what if God is real? What if God cares about you and me? What if, as I believe, he sent his son to pay the penalty for all of our sins? Whatever you believe, live your belief. Live what you profess to believe. Don't equivocate. Don't be blown about by the winds of doctrine, so to speak, and things that people don't actually care about. Know what's important to you. Know what you care about, and don't compromise that. Don't compromise your values. Don't compromise the life that you're trying to live for yourself, for your family. Because at the end of the day, what matters most is who you are. To you. Who you see in the mirror and who you choose to continue to be day in and day out. That's what I've got this beautiful Sunday morning. And it's gorgeous out here. I'm going to keep walking around in a circle. I think I'm going to listen to my audiobook for a while. See you next time. Let's go.